Welcome to The Record Machine Show, a podcast featuring interviews from indie and renowned artists from all genres of music. Now, here's your host, James Michael Hollenstein.
Welcome to The Record Machine Show. I'm your host, James Michael Hollenstein. And today we're shining the spotlight on an award-winning American roots duo making an impact through heartfelt storytelling, faith, and music with purpose. Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. Joining me today is Kelli Smith Lewis, one half of the talented sister duo based in Orange County, California. Since forming Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers in 2016, Kelli and her sister Wendy have been sharing meaningful music that blends faith, life experiences, and authentic storytelling. And for those who may not know, the Sunday Drivers extend far beyond the stage, including musicians, supporters, radio hosts, and fans who help keep the music moving forward. Kelli is not only a singer-songwriter, but a respected voice in the music community, having served as a voting member of the Recording Academy, the organization behind the Grammy Awards, for the past 10 years. On top of that, Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers are finalists at the 2026 ISSA Awards in Atlanta in multiple categories, including USA Band of the Year, Single of the Year, and Music Video of the Year. Today, we'll be talking about two powerful songs. King of Kings, a moving worship anthem born from faith and healing, and Dad's Shoe Tree, a touching and memorable song filled with heart and meaning. We'll also talk about Kelli's personal journey, the band's mission, her upcoming book, The Book of Songs, and much more. But before we bring Kelli on, let's hear one of the songs we'll be talking about today. Let's put the needle to the record. This is King of Kings by Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers.
I'm never alone. You are deep in my heart. You stand beside me. We're never apart. You take all my troubles and struggles each day, left at the cross with no debt to pay. All of my sins, you wash them away. Because of your love, today's a new day. All of my past and all my mistakes, you bless me with amazing grace. You took me in and loved me so much. Oh, precious Lord, it's you that I trust. My Prince of Peace, I bow at your feet. You're deep in my heart. You make me complete. King of kings and Lord of lords, I'm called to bless your holy name. Prince of peace, Emmanuel, to you most high I give all the praise. Can't wait for the day we meet face to face. Your light and your glory
just heard King of Kings by Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. And I have Kelli on the line for a chat. Kelli, welcome to the show. It's great having you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, you're welcome. So let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up and where do you call home these days?
Well, I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and I call home Laguna Beach, California.
Nice. So California girl all the way, huh?
Yeah, it's Southern California.
Nice.
So yeah, I've lived here my whole life.
Mm-hmm. And you know what the song says? It never rains in Southern California, right?
Right, and honestly, it hardly ever does.
Yeah.
So I feel really blessed to live here. That's for sure.
Yeah, I wish I could say that. But when it rains where I live in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, it'll rain for like 2 or 3 hours and then it'll stop, and then the sun will come out and everything will be beautiful,
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I love the rain. Like I love the rain. So if it rains, I want it to rain like for like days. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
So I would probably like it.
I like to listen to the rain when I'm sleeping. Like, at bedtime, it relaxes you,
Yeah.
Let's talk about music. When did it first enter your life and what made you realize this was something you truly wanted to pursue?
Okay. Well, when I was about 4, I would say, we started going to church and my mom, took us all of us kids to church. And my sister Candy and I, not my sister Wendy. Wendy's the one that I sing with. Mm-hmm. But Candy and I were going to sing together at church the song Jesus Loves Me. Mm-hmm. Jesus loves. And so that's when what happened was it was so cute. My mom made us little outfits, matching outfits and everything. And my sister Candy ended up saying, like, she got stage fright. So it ended up just being me singing it, but I didn't even care. I was just like, I guess naturally it was just built in me that I was comfortable singing in front of people. So I sang the song by myself. Nice. And I was like, wow, I want to do this. And then I think I was about 5 or so. I ended up seeing the Grammys on TV and I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do that for a living. I want to be on stage, And so, I remember doing things like dancing in my backyard as like a little girl, singing The Sound of Music, and right. Putting myself into that character. Uh-huh. So, so as a little kid, I really started, like, I knew it. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. That's
very cool, because a lot of kids, when they're younger, they say one thing, and then they grow up at doing something totally different, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, not me.
Yeah, you followed your dream.
I always wanted to do it. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Who were some of your biggest musical influences growing up, both personally and musically?
I would definitely have to say number one is my dad. He was a professional singer back in the 50s. And actually, he was in the military. And, I'm going to go even further back than that. He was in movies with like Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. Wow. And a bunch of, every Lucille Ball, famous people, like every famous person from that time. And so he sang in a boys' choir at a church in Long Beach, California. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of his mom was kind of his person that, would get him booked and things. But, the church that he sang at, they got all these movies, like with Metro Golden Mirror or whatever
MGM, right?
Yeah, MGM. Mm-hmm. And, so he was in, I think over 20 motion pictures. Wow. And they were probably, a lot of them were like nominated or winners of Academy Awards. Wow. And so he was really in like the big movies, but he was in the choir, and the boys' choirs were like a big thing in that time. So my dad was on camera. So it's kind of neat because if you watch like any of the old TV stations on TV, mm-hmm. I'm trying to think what they're called. But anyway, if you watch any of them, I see my dad on TV probably once every 3 months.
Very cool.
And so it's kind of neat to see him. He was like a little kid. He was, 9, 10, 11. Mm-hmm. And he was so cute that he was always the one that they would get in the camera shot.
Nice.
So, Yeah, so that was pretty neat. But anyway, so he started doing that, and then he moved into the military as he got older, and they discovered that he had a really great singing voice. So my dad ended up singing in a band for the military, and then they decided to send him on this tour, and the tour was basically like American Idol or one of those TV shows that we watch now.
Right.
But back then it was all done on the radio.
Nice.
So, yeah. So he, toured the United States, and they'd have, they play at like the major theaters, and, he'd sing, and he ended up winning like all the contests. He just kept winning one after the other. And he ended up becoming the grand prize winner. So he was basically like a Kelly Clarkson.
Nice.
He was like the grand prize, and he was able to buy a home for his mom, and things like that. So and at the time he was what we would call pretty famous, although TV wasn't a big thing at that point, so it was really more radio. So that's he was it, and then from there he moved into doing like Dinah Shore show, and Arthur Godfrey show, and like big TV shows, and met a lot of famous people and things like that. So I grew up listening to he sang in a quartet, and they had cut records, and so I would like listen to my dad on my little record player, and so he was my major mentor and the person that I looked up to musically, and even into my adulthood, he was the one that like every day he would call, and we would talk about our music, and so he was it. I mean, I loved like people like Elvis Presley and Dolly Parton and all those famous people, but I just could not get enough of my dad. He was just the best.
That's awesome.
You'll have to look him up. In fact, I have a Facebook page for him. It's called Fred Sherry Smith Music. If you want to look him up. There's some of the things, not all of it, but is on there. So
that's awesome. So folks, if you're listening, definitely check out that page, right?
Yeah.
Sounds very interesting. Now, for the listeners who may be discovering you for the first time, tell us about how Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers came together, and what makes the group unique, especially the meaning behind the Sunday Drivers.
Okay. Well, Wendy and our maiden name is Smith, so we are the Smith Sisters, and the Sunday Drivers. I kind of came up with that idea because, well, Wendy actually thought of the name the Sunday Drivers, but someone else already had it, so we added it to the name, to the end of our name. But the Sunday Drivers are basically, in my mind, the musicians and people that work with us, like. We have, musicians in Tennessee. Like we had Johnny Cash's bass player who recorded with us. We had Wanda Vick. We found our producer, Bob McGilpin. They're all over the country, basically. A lot of them are in Nashville, but some of the players that play with us are all over the place because, really, I think during COVID, we were pretty much forced out of playing live, like most everybody else. And so we, kind of found another route, and that was to start working with musicians that we could do recordings with and still keep our music going. Nice. So that's the Sunday Drivers are basically the musicians, anybody who does, filming for us or recording for us, anybody that like helps us. They are the Sunday Drivers.
And it could be different people on each project, correct?
Yes, totally different people.
Nice.
We've worked with a bunch of different, we've worked with some Grammy winners, and just a bunch of different people, musicians and singers, and we've had a couple people do like a little tiny bit of background vocals and things like that. So yeah, that's how we came up with the name.
Awesome. Let's talk about King of Kings. It's such a powerful and heartfelt song. What's the story behind it, and how did that song come into your life?
Well, okay, so I told you that I stopped doing music for a little bit of time because, well, live. And then my sister ended up saying, feeling the pull to move out of state. And she wanted to buy a home. And, California, it's like you have to literally, be a millionaire to really own a home, like a home. And she wanted a home. Mm-hmm. So they ended up moving to Arizona. And I was like, oh, no, I don't want her to move. Like, I'm not going to ever do music again. And so anyway, Wendy and I started praying because she knew that she was going to be moving. And I said, well, Lord, please help me to, if I'm not supposed to do music, then help take that desire away. So he ended up taking it away from me, thankfully. For a time I was just like, because I've done that my whole life. And it was like, I knew that I didn't want to do it with anybody else. Mm-hmm. And so I knew, I have no other option but to not do it. So I prayed, God, please help me to, not have the desire. And he took it away. Mm-hmm. So, the time passes. I didn't write music during this time. It was like almost 3 years, maybe a little bit over 3.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I felt one night, I'm like, I need to write a song. Like, I felt it. Like, oh my gosh, I have to write a song and I have to write it tomorrow. Nice. And like literally I felt that way. Like, I have to write it and I have to write it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So I said a quick prayer before I went to bed. God, please, if it's your will, help me to write a song tomorrow. And like literally I woke up the next morning at 3 a.m., which is when I always get my music from God. And he gave me this song, and it was like he gave me the whole song, mm-hmm. the tune, the lyrics, and everything. And I wrote it very, short amount of time. So I knew that, in fact, I thought it was kind of a simple song, like simple, but really what it is it's just a pretty song, and it's not anything flashy. It's just, a pretty song. So anyway, and I knew that if God gave it to me, it had to be something pretty special. So that's how it came about.
Nice. Now, do you feel like God, waited a little while for you and said, you know what, Kelli, it's time. You got to do this. And it just came to you? Well,
I feel like I needed to simmer down because, I was pretty involved in a lot of these, award shows and working with people. And I got so into myself and my own idols, things that I, always wanting to win awards and always wanting to be recognized. And, I think we all are that way. It's like we want to have purpose.
Right.
And I think God showed me that my purpose was in him and not in music. Oh, so okay. That's I think it took a time for that to happen, for it to actually make me realize that, these things of this earth are things of this earth, but one day they're going to be gone. And, it's not the most important thing in the world.
Exactly.
God is the most important thing. So that's that answer.
Yeah. Good answer, too. You've spoken openly about struggling with self-forgiveness and not feeling worthy to write worship music for many years. Was writing King of Kings part of that healing process for you?
Most definitely. But, I have to say God gave me those lyrics. And I literally, sometimes I just sit down in the morning and it's just like my pen can't write fast enough. And that was one of those situations, and it was like I feel like he gave it to me and it was meant for me, but it was also meant for other people. So yes, it did help me. I mean, it fully helped me, especially after it was recorded. I just remember listening to it, and I'd listen to it over and over and over, not because I wanted to hear myself, but because it spoke to me. I've made mistakes and I've done stupid things, and I'm a sinner and all of that, but that's not who defines who I am today. I mean, I'm leading my life in the right way today. And so that's kind of what it helped me with, is that, yes, I've made mistakes. We all have. Mm-hmm. Some are horrific, but God forgives us, and it's okay. And we can move forward, and we can, like my dad used to say, he always used to say, it's how you finish the act.
Right.
And so that's what I think. And so, yes, the song helped me immensely. And I just hope, honestly, I hope it helps other people.
I'm sure it'll resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
So,
the first words are, I'm never alone.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people feel alone, especially right now, in life, in these times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it immediately makes you feel good.
Right.
So, yeah.
You've said King of Kings wasn't written for commercial success, but instead for worship in churches. What has the response been like so far? And what do you hope churches and worship leaders take away from this song?
Well, I think that it's the purpose of it is, for people to worship it at church. That's what I think. That's what I immediately felt was like, oh my gosh, like I can hear congregations, singing this together and worshiping, So my goal is to get it to churches. Now I've been trying to do that, and I've been somewhat successful. In fact, our Bible study we do it together. Like we my husband and I lead our little music for our Bible study, and they've requested it a few times. So there's a gal, her name's Linda. She has really helped me, like with names of churches and contacts and things like that, to get it to. But really, it's got to be more of a word of mouth thing, because it's really hard for me it's hard for me to promote my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, listen to this. Oh my gosh, you have to do this at your church. Well, a lot of churches have their own agenda.
Right.
And their own musicians who write their own music and all of that. So I have to, put that into consideration. And I'm not famous, yet. But, so I don't know if that answers that question, but that's what I have to say, I think.
Yeah, it definitely answers the question. Let's shift gears. Let's talk about Dad's Shoe Tree. It's such a memorable and heartfelt title. What's the story behind that one, and what do you hope the listeners feel when they hear it?
Well, my dad was a funny character. He was, like I said, he was very much like me, very creative, and just fun, And at one time, he lived in Northern California. We lived in Southern California. So my husband and I drove 8 hours to get to his house. We got to his house and had a quick, glass of water or whatever. Yeah. Oh, and I think he had us go out somewhere, and then we came back, and we were just really tired, by the time. And so we were drinking our water, and Dad said, "Have you ever seen our shoe tree?" I said, "No." I said, "What's a shoe tree?" Because I was thinking it was like a shoe tree, like that you put, your shoes in to stretch them out, like men do that. They have those, little things. And he said, "No, it's a shoe tree. It's my shoe tree." And so he goes, "Come on, put your shoes on. Let's go." So we went outside, and he had us walking. Well, he had property, a couple acres of property, and he had us climbing up the hillside, in the, branches all over the ground and everything. And we all of a sudden, I'm like looking down, and we all of a sudden walk up, and there's a tree, and he had nailed all of these shoes and boots on the tree.
Wow.
And I said, and he said, "This is our shoe tree." I'm like, "Dad, you are so weird." But anyway, it made us laugh. And he did that because he said, "Well, why waste shoes?
Mm-hmm.
Why waste a pair of shoes? You don't want to just throw them away, So anyway, he was just funny. So he created that shoe tree. Well, then, I don't know how long later, maybe a couple months later, he ended up finding another dead tree. By the way, he only did it to dead trees.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. but he took found a dead tree in a horse trail at the community that he lived in. He lived in like a private community. Right. And so there was this tree, and it was dead, and he nailed just a pair of shoes on it. Well, he ended up, discovering like a couple months later that he said he drove by and the shoe tree had all these other pairs of shoes on it, and he didn't put them on there. Yeah. So like all these other neighbors or whatever, they saw the tree and they started nailing shoes to it. Well, apparently that's kind of a common thing in Northern California. I don't know that my dad really knew about that, but so anyway, so this ended up having all the shoes on it, and then my dad years later was going to move. He was thinking about moving and selling one of his properties, and he went into the real estate agent's office, and and they also, ran other things within the community. And he ended up seeing on a brochure a trail that was called Shoe Tree Trail. And they actually named the trail after my dad's shoe tree.
Wow, that's a pretty cool story.
I know. So I was like, he told us that, we all laughed. Oh my gosh, Dad, you're so weird, So anyway, I ended up going down to this location down in Huntington Beach, and I was walking with a friend, I think, and I saw a dead tree, big, huge dead tree. And so that tree, I said, Dad, I go, we're just now getting ready to film our song Shoe Tree, because I told my dad that we could, that we could record this song and that I could get it on the Grammy ballot, because I'm a Grammy voting member.
Nice.
And he was all excited. I could hear him smiling, like over the phone. And so he just so happened to be down on that day from Northern California. He was down for literally 2 hours. He came down. I said, Dad, I want you to come and nail shoes on this tree, just a pair of shoes on this tree. It's dead, And so he came down, he had his own hammer and his own nail and his own pair of shoes, and he did that. So he nailed the shoes. Well, literally, I think that was his last visit to come and see us, and we only saw him for 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And then he shortly after that passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I know. So, we wanted to follow through with getting that song and that video on, the Grammy ballot. So that's what we did. And we kind of rushed to get this album done, which is called Shoe Tree.
Nice.
So the song is called Dad's Shoe Tree, I think, and then the album is called Shoe Tree.
That's a very cool story. Now, did you get a picture or a video of him doing that?
Yes, actually, the video is online. If you look up, if you look up Dad's Shoe Tree, it might be under Boys and the Bees. It could be under Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. It could be under Smith Sisters. We've kind of had a few names, but it's under one of those. But if you look that up, or if you go on our website, you'll be able to see the video. And you can actually see my dad nailing the shoe on the tree, and yeah, it's pretty special.
Yeah, it's an amazing story, and you got to share that, one of those last moments with him, doing something together. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and I think your fans will appreciate it too when they see it. Yeah,
it's fun.
Yeah.
That was done in kind of a swing version, and then we've done it different ways, because my dad ended up telling me that we should really, with my music, that it should really be more like bluegrass. Uh-huh. So when after Dad died, we kind of turned directions, and that's why we changed the name. And we had a trio, and that we changed to I think Boys and the Bees. No, Smith Sisters. I forget. I think Smith Sisters, and then we changed it to Smith Sisters Sunday Drivers. So
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations on being a finalist at the 2026 ISSA Awards in Atlanta for USA Band of the Year, Single of the Year, and Music Video of the Year. What does that recognition? You're welcome. What does that recognition mean to you and the band?
Well, it means a lot to me, because we really haven't performed out live in a long time because of COVID, and then all of those other situations. But we've kept our music alive, and the people that have followed us still follow us, and we didn't really push too much for people to vote, but apparently people voted. So, and we had people sending private messages. I voted today. I voted today. I voted today. I mean, just knowing that especially this one song, well, all of them, but especially King of Kings, because it's about my Lord and Savior. That it resonates with people, and that, just that the message is really getting out there. I feel really grateful, and I'm so grateful to Tammany. I mean, she, and all the people that run these awards shows, there's so much work that goes into it, and, she's really given us a lot of really cool tools. Uh-huh. And having the community of people like you, which, by the way, congratulations to you on your nominations.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so it's been really special. I've met a lot of really great people.
Are you going to be
So-
there this year in Atlanta?
I am hoping to. I'm not sure that I will be able to because I think I told you in the other conversation that I have some doctor's appointments coming up.
Gotcha.
And I think they might conflict, but they might not. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, just play it by ear. That's all you can do.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, you've also been a voting member of the Recording Academy for the past 10 years. What has that experience meant to you personally, and how has it shaped the way you view music, songwriting, and artistry?
Well, one of the best things I'd have to say is that I've made some amazing friends in music, peers, and like we got our came across our producer, who is just awesome. And most of these people I haven't even met in person. I mean, some of them I have, but I've just had conversations over the phone and in whatever way. But I would say that the friendships. There was a friend. I probably won't say her name, but her mom also had Alzheimer's when my mom had Alzheimer's. I was a caregiver for my mom. She was a caregiver for her mom. It was like God brought us together. And, and I believe that, the way that when I was first asked to be a member, it was through a guy that was doing some of our recordings. And I said, he said, would you ever want to submit to the Grammys? I said, yeah. I mean, I was like, what? Because when I was little, I always, wanted, that's all I wanted was to be on the Grammys or whatever. And so he said, well, I can submit it for you. I'm a voting member. And then the next conversation we had was, if you want to become a voting member, you can become one. He said, you have all the qualifications. And, he said, and I would recommend you. And so I was like, wow. I mean, I was in complete shock. It was like my childhood dream came true, And so, and through that, I have met so many amazing musicians and people and had some awesome experiences. And yeah, so I guess that's my whole experience as far as the Grammys go. I learned a lot about how to, be an actual musician and the requirements and having a professional organization you work with and all of that. I didn't know any of it. So, but actually, what happened to me, I'm going to tell you this really quickly. When I turned 50 was when God gave me all this music. He dropped it on me. So out of nowhere. I mean, I was not a writer at all. And literally one morning I woke up and I started writing music. So that's kind of been my whole experience.
Being a voting member, do you get to go to the shows and stuff like that?
Yes, I have been to the show. In fact, I met a lot of the people that I had conversations with and stuff that were out of state. I met a lot of people there. And the funny thing about the Grammys is that yes, I did. I have been to the show. And they have, which I didn't know this, so I'm going to share it with you. They actually have two different shows. One is during the day and one is at night. Okay. And the one during the day is the one for independent artists.
Oh,
and some famous and lots of famous people. But for the lesser categories. So the ones that have the majors, the major people that are on the radio all the time and all of that, they are the ones that they do the nighttime show for. It's I think top 5 or 8 categories. So yeah. So basically, what I do as a voting member is they send me. Everybody sends music. They'll send stuff in the mail, CDs. They'll send stuff. Now it's more so online. And so I have the opportunity to listen to music in all genres, and then I can choose what genre is what top genres. I think it's I forget how many, but let's just say 15 categories that I can vote in. And so I'll listen to all the music that's in those categories. And so it's a lot of fun because you get to hear music that it maybe isn't even out there yet.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've gotten neat things collector's items type things of all sorts of famous people.
Sounds very
so
cool.
I have a lot of neat things. Yeah. So it's been a fun experience.
Awesome. You've also been working on a book called The Book of Songs, which shares the stories behind your music, your faith journey, and some incredible moments in your life. What inspired you to write it, and what can the readers expect when it's released?
Well, I actually wrote it because I just kind of started jotting down like the stories behind the story of the song, you know, because I think sometimes songs, people, even when I listen to the radio, I go, what did he mean by that? You know? So it's like, songs can give you a lot of information, but they don't give you all of it. And I wanted to like go into detail because some of the stories are really cool, you know?
Right.
So that's why I wrote the book. And I actually wrote it. So I started writing, you know, just song by song, like the story behind it. And then I thought, I want to do this for my family. So, you know, if I wish my dad had done something like this, because my dad had some, like, my stories are pretty amazing, but his were so, like, he dealt with some, like, things that nobody, like, most common people don't deal with. And so, like, really cool experiences, you know? So I thought, well, I want to share my really cool experiences with my, you know, future generations. So that's what I'm doing. And so what I thought of doing with this book, and I'm doing it, is so I write the song, I write written songs, then I write the chapter, and then what I'm going to do is this book is going to have the chapter, then the lyrics, and then a link to the song, or music video or whatever, so that people can hear the song after they've read the story.
Nice
so
idea.
It helps them to make more sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to do an audio book, you know, where I record myself speaking and like telling the story, because I thought rather than have AI or anybody else do it, it'd be good to have it from me because I'm the person that wrote the book.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that's that's one of the projects I'm working on right now.
Yeah. Any timeline as to when it's going to be released?
I'm hoping pretty soon. I'm actually going through pretty much the final edit of at least of the book, and then I'm going to need to record it. So, you know, that might take some time. But yeah, as far as the book goes, and I've had probably about 100 people read it, you know, like drafts of it, and everybody is like, "Oh my gosh, this is really good." So, yeah, so I'm excited about it. It's just, if something that I thought was going to be a little tiny thing may not end up being so tiny.
Nice. Is it going to be available like on sites like Amazon?
That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? I may end up submitting it to the Grammys and maybe other places. That wasn't my plan, but right. The stories are, you know, it covers such a broad range of, like, from helping to heal people that maybe have gone through Alzheimer's or a parent passing away, or, you know, where does my dad go after he dies, and, you know, to funny stories when I was a kid and we found a turtle in, you know, Barstow, you know. Right. So yeah, it's kind of like these everybody's telling me that it's really well balanced, and it kind of hits on everything, and so and especially God. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds it sounds like it's going to be a hit.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll send you a signed copy.
I would be honored. Definitely. I love to read.
Do you?
Yeah. I read a lot of books on Amazon, like the, you know, the Kindle, because they have the Kindle thing on Amazon. I just put it on my phone, and whenever I get, you know, free time, I just swipe over to my Kindle and I read, you know, a few pages, especially at nighttime. I like to read a little bit before I go to bed. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. Well, and you know what, to be honest with you, okay, since you're saying that, that was one of the things that I thought is it would be great to read this book one chapter at a time, right? You read the chapter as you're going to sleep, like you read it to your kid or whatever, right. Like my niece or whoever. And then at the end, they listen to the song, and it kind of helps them to fall asleep. Right. I mean, hopefully it doesn't put them to sleep, but but I honestly thought that it would be like a neat, you know, kind of like each chapter is like its own bedtime story.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, I think.
Yeah.
you know?
So that's that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now, for the fans who want to follow everything happening with Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers, including your music, upcoming projects, and even the book, where can they find you online or social media?
Well, if you look up Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers, pretty much anywhere, we're going to be there. And, you know, like on all of the social sites. And our website is www.smithsistersandthesundaydrivers.com. And you can find our music. If you look on our website, it kind of gives you the names of all the different groups. Like I said, we've had like 3 different names. So if you look on our website, you'll see the different names. And some of the music is slightly different, and it's definitely unique. So
awesome.
Yeah.
And all your social links are up there on your website too, right?
Yep. It's all up there. And all you have to do too is just search for Smith Sisters and Sunday Drivers, and you'll find us anywhere.
Awesome. Kelly, before
Yeah.
we wrap things up today, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't cover?
Well, if you don't know Jesus, get to know him, because right now is the time. There's a lot of things going on in this world and a lot of division, but the only place you're going to find peace is in him. So, that's what I pray for and what I hope. Mm-hmm. And that's why I write the music is to direct people to him. So
that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. I had a great time chatting with you.
Thank you. I had a great time too.
And
I hope to meet you at the ISSA Awards.
Yeah, that would be great. I want to wish you the best of luck with your nominations, and also best of luck with the book coming out.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited, and I appreciate you having me on your show.
You're welcome. And anytime you got something you want to promote in the future, maybe some more songs or even another book, definitely reach out. I'd love to have you back on. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, you take care and you enjoy the rest of your day. All right.
Okay, and you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on the Record Machine Show. It's been a real pleasure getting to hear more about your story, your faith journey, and the heart behind the music of Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. Be sure to check out Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers and keep up with everything they have happening. From their inspiring music and upcoming projects to Kelly's upcoming book, The Book of Songs. And congratulations to the group on being finalists at the 2026 ISSA Awards in Atlanta, as well as Kelly's continued contribution to the music world as a longtime voting member of the Recording Academy. And before we go, we're going to leave you with another featured song from today's guest. Here's Dad's Shoe Tree by Smith Sisters and the Sunday Drivers. I'm James Michael Hollenstein, and this has been The Record Machine Show. Until next time, keep those records spinning.
On the stretch to Placerville, there were boots on every post, nailed all kinds of places, even along the coast. An idea came upon our pop to do the very same. On a tree that dropped its top, he decided to play this game. He nailed his shoes upon it. He nailed Mom's shoes too. He named this tree a shoe tree, where his boots were stuck like glue. He'd show friends round the property and take them on a walk, chat about all types of trees, making small talk. He'd say that there are digger pines, manzanita and madrone. Here's one called a shoe tree. When he'd say it, they would moan. He nailed his shoes upon it. He nailed Mom's shoes too. He named this tree a shoe tree, where his boots were stuck like glue. Even along the horse trail, more shoes down there. Many on their walks would see boots for miles around. Word about a shoe tree created a stir downtown. He nailed his shoes upon it. He nailed mom's shoes too. He named this tree a shoe tree, where his boots were stuck like glue. Saw there on a nature map a detail that amazed. Daddy rubbed his eyes because it had him really dazed. Sitting there next to the spot that marked the old horse trail was the famous shoe tree with a boot and a nail. He nailed his shoes upon it. He nailed mom's shoes too. He named this tree a shoe tree, where his boots were stuck like glue. Where his boots were stuck like glue.
The Record Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimmy Hall Productions. All rights reserved. For distribution information or to add this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.